take us live. Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for joining us today for our 14th meeting of the Board of Lake County Commissioners. Would all those who are willing and able please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Grant us, O Lord, light to our understanding, prudence in our investigating, foresight in our planning, sincerity in our deliberating, the grace to follow truth in our judgment. Help us to be moved in our decision, neither by fear nor by self-interest, and to do our work faithfully. May we respect the authority vested in us, for thou art the source of all authority. And may we use in our directives for the common good and for thy honor and glory. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you all. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Present.
Commissioner Young.
Here.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Here. Okay, this brings us to our first public comment portion of our meeting. Do we have anyone in the audience wishing to address the board? Yes, sir. So we're wearing our citizen and media hat at the same time? That's a heavy burden now. I'll pull your leg as you come up to the microphone there. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Oh, your microphone, please.
Is that better?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. My name is Brian Massey, 8196 Rainbow Drive, Concord Township. I have two issues that I'd like to speak to the commissioners about. I'll speak on the first one in the first session, and I'll come back at the second public session, so I don't monopolize things. We've done a lot of analysis of the first one is dealing with the poverty level in Lake County. We have, in using the U.S. Census Bureau, we have determined it as of 2019, with a population estimated at 238,000, that 8.2% of the people are living in poverty in Lake County. So that's approximately $19,500. The poverty level, of course, depends on the number of people in the household. For one person, it's about $12,000. For a family of four, it's about $26,500. The second analysis we did was regarding the housing affordability threshold. As you know, I've talked about this before. It's not a percentage that we developed. That's been a long-standing percentage that if you add the property taxes, mortgage, and utilities, if those three factors equal 30% or more of your annual income, that house you're in is determined to be unaffordable. That doesn't mean that you have to move, but that means that you're going to have left discretionary income to spend on your needs and wants. It is projected, using the sources, the Center for Community Solutions and the U.S. Census Bureau, we've estimated by 2030 that approximately 1/3 of the Lake County seniors not living in assisted living homes will be priced out of their homes. They will be at the 30% housing affordability threshold percentage. And the reason I bring that up has to do with the jail. I know that there's been some public discussion that the jail needs to be replaced, and I'm just wondering, is there any estimate how much is going to be needed to replace the entire jail? Is it 10 million, 100 million? And then there's also been some discussion about the inside millage. And I know from my research on inside millage, there's 1.1 mills left under the 10 mil threshold allowed by the state, that the commissioners can automatically just assess the 1.1 mills without a vote of the people. I'm asking the commissioners to seriously consider alternatives as opposed to just automatically going to the 1.1 mills, because they're going to put a severe burden on the taxpayers. So what I've also learned that that the commissioners have two budgets. I really didn't understand that, but you have an inside budget of $50 million, and then you have an outside budget of $270 million.
Jeff, I can interrupt you.
Yeah.
Inside general fund and outside general fund.
Thank you.
I want to be abundantly clear to those viewing this that we do not have two sets of books.
Yeah, I understand.
I want to be abundantly clear on that.
Yeah, I never said there was two sets of books.
But it sounded like there were two sets of books. The one that's inside that you get to see, and the one that's outside that you don't get to see.
No, I wasn't implying that at all.
Thanks.
With that 270, I understand that that's not really at the discretion of the commissioners, and that money is given to the I guess you call them the nonprofits. And what I really would like to see is that the nonprofits start taking a haircut and start, thinking about contributing, and helping paying for that jail, so it doesn't come out of the hide of all of the taxpayers. So that's the point that I'm making on that we've got to find some other way as opposed to the inside millage. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Well, if I could take a few of those in some order, I don't think we could petition Deepwood to help fund a Justice Center project. As an example.
Well, I do know that they have $50 million in cash, and unfortunately, many of these nonprofits have rainy day funds, and my concern is, as the work that they do at Deepwood, no question, they do an outstanding job. I'm just saying that if all of these nonprofits have rainy day funds, we're sucking the cash out of the community. And that it falls back on the taxpayer. So we need to be very mindful. If anybody's got some rainy day funds, do they need $50 million to operate? They do a great job, no question, but do they need $50 million?
And that's a question subject to fair debate. Reasonable question. But again, just to be abundantly clear, inside general fund activities, outside general fund activities. Many of the outside general fund, for example, let's use Crime Lab. We have our prosecutor with us, or chief assistant. How's that? I'll get the right terminology here, because God forbid I say something wrong.
Yeah.
We, the Board of Commissioners, do not control the funding associated with the Crime Lab.
Mm-hmm.
Our prosecutor, Charles Colson, does that. That's a levy that was approved by the people. I believe there are two levies. One that was approved most recently was 3 years ago. I'm kind of looking over to you.
A couple years ago, within the last few years.
Yeah.
2018.
2018. So there, I respect your perspective, but people keep passing these levies.
I understand. I understand. I recognize I was fighting that levy, quite a bit. And all we can do is, try to educate the people that they're pricing themselves out of their homes.
And taking some things here, the population, Lake County, poverty levels, we have a fantastic job and family services. Medicaid expansion's been I'm going to say, as it has been applied in Lake County, I'm going to speak only to the Lake County experience. I can't speak for other parts of the state. I believe it has been fairly and properly applied. I believe you're going to find that many hard-working people have benefited from that, and it has actually kept them in their homes, because I think we can all agree that unanticipated medical bills can be absolutely devastating. Seeing wellness visits with the doctors considerably more cost-effective than going to an emergency room at $1,000 a crack. But one of the things that you had talked about, the affordability index, in conjunction with the poverty concerns. This is one of the things, and I know you've heard me talk about this, the underemployment issue. And that's why whenever you hear us talking about economic development, we're focusing on manufacturing, we're focusing on workforce development, we're focusing on connecting our workforce with our employers. Because I'm going to be blunt, and I'll say it again, manufacturing is where real wealth is created in a community. Those dollars stay in the community. Statistically, every dollar generated stays in that community and circulates 7 times. Retail is 3, sometimes 4. Obviously, in this pandemic, our retail has been hit hard. We've been blessed that our manufacturing base has held strong. They made a number of adaptations.
I agree 100%, Commissioner Hammercheck, on the manufacturing. In fact, we have tried to work with Lakeland Community College, and what we don't understand is that many of the residents in Lake County have to go to Lorain Community College in order to get the proper education that the manufacturing environment requires, which makes no sense to me, but that's a topic for another day.
Indeed. But we are blessed, though, that we do have Auburn Career Center, Lakeland Community College, even Lake Erie College. Just as an example, you wouldn't think of Lake Erie College, a four-year college, having a premier HVAC program, and they do. It's amazing. They have technology over there that it's right there with the manufacturers,
yes.
What they do. So there's a lot of activities that are taking place in Lake County that most folks don't even know. Again, but that's one of the things of getting the message out there.
Well, another thing that disturbs me, though, is that when I do the research, I find out in Lakeland Community College, what I'm told is that when many students that are coming from Lake County high schools, they need remedial work before they're even ready to do basic two-year college courses. Quite frankly, that's not acceptable. I don't have an answer for it. I don't know why, but I can tell you that the results are they need remedial courses. So we need to, I'm getting off topic here, but we need to.
Again, it's fair debate.
Yeah, all right.
The other one you brought up, the jail.
Yes.
I believe it's been talked about freely and candidly for a number of years. We are moving away from a jail model to a justice center model. That's not just a rebranding. We have a facility that building's built. Legal, I just muted that just for the background noise.
As long as you can hear.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Young, can you hear adequately, sir?
No, he's muted.
Yeah, I was just going to say that Lake County has done a good job, very good job, in fact, of not using all the people's money that is so readily available through that inside millage, which can be simply acquired, no vote of the people required. So that does sit in reserve, and I, for one, hope it remains in reserve. And of course, I think that addresses one of your major concerns directly. That the more property taxes increase, the more difficult it is for people to maintain and acquire a home. So I think we're, at least on a comparative level, we're well situated. We're one of the few counties. I think, I don't have all the data in front of me, but we're definitely in a minority of counties that have not used all of those monies, simply because of the ease of accessibility to government to tap into those funds. So I think that is a credit to Lake County, and I think it demonstrates the concern that government in Lake County has for the citizens, not to increase those property tax levels. I just wanted to mention that. So it isn't as if this isn't, the concerns you're mentioning are not being considered. They certainly are, and I think that's demonstrated by the sort of the hands-off approach that we've demonstrated through not applying those monies to our general fund.
Yeah, my goal was just to get to
the inside millage.
My goal was just to get the taxpayers' viewpoint in front of the commissioner. So thank you very much.
Sure, but if I may, though, for your benefit and for those obviously viewing, as I was starting to say, the current jail built like a battleship. It was designed around an incarceration model. Time has proven that we are really heavily in a rehabilitation treatment. Many people who wind up at our current facility have mental health issues, substance abuse issues. Our courts really work hard to keep the low-level nonviolent offenders out. They have a number of programs where they work with people literally to keep them out of the facility. We had years ago closed down the minimum security facility and reintegrated that population back into the current facility. But time has shown it's expensive to maintain. I'll be blunt. Personnel are expensive. You're looking at least $100,000 a head by the time you're looking at wages and benefits. So every time we have to put somebody in that facility to monitor those inmates, budget $100,000 a head. And that's not a criticism of our corrections officers and other support staff. That's just a reality.
Just the realities, I understand.
In fact, I'll throw this out there. Recently, I think it was within the last week, we had a corrections officer at another facility taken hostage, and the hostage taker lost his life because of that stunt. There are a number of similarities in configuration and operation. We are blessed that our facility is well maintained, which is a testament to our sheriff and previous sheriff. Sheriff Liam Bruno actually came up through the system, and I'm sure you might recall he was actually the jail administrator. So you could not ask for somebody who would be more familiar. Captain Brooks, I believe, she has, 30 years of service, which is unheard of when you have that level of commitment. Although the facility continues to meet state standards, it's getting long in the tooth. And I don't think anybody has invested more time than I have in looking at a refit, addition, options, and even I am at the point where I have to concede in order to maintain efficiency, effectiveness, and safety. We're looking at a new facility, which is again why I'm saying a justice center model where we move away from the hardcore incarceration. There'll be that component, obviously. You're going to have that, but it doesn't have to be everything at that level. And that's where you get...
Yeah, Commissioner Hamercheck, I'm very confident in your analysis, and so I have no issues with that at all. So
fair enough. But again, I'm also being respectful of the media hat also. As much as I'll tease you about that, I have to give you the full story, and we are looking at least $100 million. I will tell you, Lake County is one of the lead counties in the state of Ohio, working with the state of Ohio to get an awareness, I'm going to just say it, in Columbus, that there are many deficiencies with facilities throughout the state. The state capital budget, they approved $50 million, 25 million because of the biannual budget. $25 million a year won't do anything. Those dollars are going to facilities that, if I were to speak candidly, have been poorly maintained, not supported by their community, and some of those facilities are actually being rewarded for bad behavior. And that's disappointing when you see a professionally run facility, not just our sheriff's department, our buildings and grounds, telecommunications department, our support staff, the companies that support us as private contractors, the effort, the work, the efficiencies that they put into that. I believe we're anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million a year just to maintain the facility in its current state of readiness. There's a lot to be considered there.
Yeah, I would say, I'll just say my experience in dealing with the administration, if everybody is doing the same job that people in this administration building are doing, I feel very confident that we're getting our money's worth.
That's comforting to hear you say that. I will assure you we are thoroughly researching all sources, state, federal, even private foundations that might have an interest in seeing effectiveness and efficiency. But to your point regarding the inside millage, I don't think you're part of the defund the police crowd by any stretch of the imagination.
No, I'm not.
But I am aware that there is a segment of society that is using conservative values as a weapon to say that, well, don't build a building if you're true conservative. I'm finding this.
I don't understand the
dichotomy.
logic.
Well, we actually, I'm having struggles with it too, but there is that battle of, well, if you reinstitute collection, because that inside millage, that's already on the books. It's not a new tax. It's already on the books. It's just not being collected. It's like a company having receivables and they're only collecting less than half their receivables. But this is something that I don't think is generally known, and I believe it bears being brought out. That 1.1 mil also is a legacy 1.1 mil. And what I mean by that is there is 10% and 2.5%. And I'm going to use the word rollback to keep it may not be the right term, but it's one that most people understand. There's a reduction in the tax to the taxpayer. That 12.5% is made up by the state of Ohio. So as much as the state of Ohio has cut local government funds, that 1.1 is protected and it is supported by the state. So that, again, it's a total of 12.5%. And that seems to be being swept under the rug very conveniently. And I'm very concerned about the defund the police angle that some people are playing here. And again, I do not believe you are anywhere near that. You're probably as far from that as anybody.
Yes, you're correct.
And that's unsettling. So I just want to get that out into the discussion, that there's a great deal of effort being put into being responsible, being effective, being efficient. And I would rather start out saying that we're looking at estimates based on square footage of 100 million and come in 70 million rather than start out at 70 million. Oh, by the way, we're up to 30 million. One way you look like a rock star, the other way you look like a rockhead. So
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
thank you. I appreciate your allowing me to cover all that so thoroughly. Commissioner Young, Commissioner Plechnik, did either of you wish to comment further? Thank you both. Okay, do we have anyone else in the audience wishing to address? Okay, Jason Boyd, County Administrator, do we have any electronic submissions indicating none? Thank you. Okay, this closes our first public comment. As a courtesy, I would like to move item number 12 to the front so that we can take care of that special resolution. Madam Clerk, would you please proceed accordingly?
In special resolutions, resolution proclaiming the week of April 11th to the 17th, 2021, National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
And discussion. Captain, you've got to take the floor for this. Come on, you're like the champion of this cause. Good morning, sir. And for the benefit of Commissioner Young, if you could, mic discipline, please. I need you to clearly speak in there. He's got that look of like you're telling me. As a former fire chief, you know how important that is.
Absolutely, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to come before you. My name is Mike Warner. I'm with the Lake County Sheriff's Office. I work for Sheriff Frank Leombruno, and I am currently in charge of the 911 Center, Central Communications. And this is a great honor that the county commissioners put this resolution out to recognize our telecommunicators. They're kind of the unsung hero. They're the first responders for every incident. They're the ones that take the calls on somebody's worst day. They are the ones that try to keep the calm in the night. And we appreciate their recognition. But we're also part of a big team. We're part of a county team. Not only with the Sheriff's Office, but all our agencies that contract with us and the communities that don't contract with us, that we help them out whenever we can. So I appreciate the opportunity, and it blends right into everything else that we're doing with the new telecommunicator school, and that you guys have been very, very supportive. I mean, we appreciate that, and everybody that has supported, from the clerk's office to the commissioner's office to the sheriff's office, and everybody involved. So thank you.
Well, I've got you there. Obviously, our resolution hits on many of the key points, but some of the background stuff that I think the public might find interesting, and I know that I've personally participated, and I've also called while I know you were going over the audio the critiques of other dispatch centers, looking for best practices, what was done right, what could be done better. You are the leader of a premier facility, and I think you should talk about some of the things that you do to make things better on a continuing basis.
Interesting. We take in well over 200,000 911 calls. We receive all the wireless calls for the entire county, and then we either push them out to agencies that are not part of our facility, or we take care of dispatching them. Not only do we critique them, but we are graded by the EZNet 911 committee from the state of Ohio under the new rules for wireless. Lake County Telecommunications the Sheriff's Office Communications Center is graded every year. So we have set the standard with our book on the skill sheets that we require to make sure and ensure our dispatchers are doing their job, making sure that they're trained properly, and putting extra time in it. We have good supervisors that monitor continually to make sure that everything is being handled correctly. So when we talk about grading and looking at other agencies for the school, that's exactly what we did. We brought 8 regional centers together to put our thoughts and our heads together to come up with the best training program, the good and the bad.
Please continue.
Thank you. So by doing that, you take all those things and you visit other centers, you work with people, and we have a lot of people coming to our area to look. In fact, we just had another county come in that want to meet with you as we talked, and to look at a joint center just like we've done here at Lake County. So this was started back in the 80s. It was an idea by many people in this county that grew with the building of the nuclear power plant to come up with a center where we could house our communication center, keep it safe, and be able to dispatch and get emergency services to the people in need quickly. And so that started in '86 and has grown. And I can tell you that our sheriff is a big fan of making sure that we do things right and we keep on track, and we're not just taskmasters, but we want to make sure that the job is done right because we treat people the way we want to be treated, your family's treated, your grandparents, and the relatives that you like.
Well said. Thank you, sir. Further discussion? Commissioner Plechik, Commissioner Young?
Mr. President,
Sir.
if I could just say, Lake County really sets the standard for safety with our emergency telecommunications programs and dispatch center. I was really grateful for the opportunity to take a tour a few weeks ago with Captain Warner and see the incredibly well-run facility, which handles over a dozen different safety agencies across the county, including my hometown of Willoughby Hills, where I participated in bringing the city onto Central Dispatch. So I got to see the before and the after. I got to see the improved response times, the gratitude of the police and fire chiefs, as well as our women and men in uniform who are able to respond quicker to the most difficult situations people face. And we've gone beyond now setting the standard professionally. We're starting to create a pipeline. And that really comes back to Captain Warner as well, who worked with the Auburn Career Center to found a program to train emergency telecommunications professionals, not just for Lake County, but for all of Northeast Ohio. We've had involvement from Ashtabula, from Geauga, from Cuyahoga, because we all recognize the need to have dispatchers who are trained at the highest levels. And although she had to step out, our Clerk of Courts, Faith Andrews, was with us earlier today, and we're very grateful that she's run her office so efficiently. She was able to contribute tens of thousands of dollars to a scholarship program for that facility. And I'm really heartened to see how our counties come together, not to defund the police, but to support safety forces. And dispatch may not be the most exciting or best known part of safety forces, but the officer, the firefighter, is not there but for that call getting through. And it's so critical to have not just the best technology, which I think we can safely say Lake County has and maintains, but to have the best people. And Captain Warner doesn't just lead that center, he's really been the thought leader in how we train telecommunicators so that we can spread the Lake County way and our higher standard to all surrounding counties. I think at some point we're really going to set the statewide, the national standard, and it's exciting to see that, not just because we're helping every county, but my home in Willoughby Hills, I know if I call, an officer, a firefighter will be there.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. And I'll just throw a little humor into the mix. So what's one of the things you never say at a dispatch center?
The Q word.
Oh, I love it. The Q word. Nice. Okay.
Yes, because all that'll do is just poof. Yes, everything hits. They answer almost, they dispatch over 400 incidents a day. So, I'm very pleased to work with these folks, and I'm proud to work for Sheriff Liam Bruno in the county because, when you get a little older and you've finished one career, you get a chance to be part of something else, and hopefully, with the help of everyone that we have working there, and the new people that we're going to put on board, and the system that we're going to have, we will have a great system where more people will come on board and see the value in being part of the county dispatch center.
Indeed. Bless you, sir. If you could hopefully stay close, I have a hard copy for you here.
Mr. President, I just wanted to say that I have so much respect for Mike Warner and the organization out there and the job that they do. Not just because they get the messages, which of course is critical, just as Commissioner Plesnick was saying that, it's wonderful that we have such efficient policing forces and fire protection, etc. But unless they get the message as to where they're needed and exactly what's needed on site and some sort of a description of the problem, you can't apply those forces properly. And of course, that's where dispatching comes in. But I also like, at least to a point, the security that's offered out there by the bunker. I mean, we have a secure, modern, professionally operated intelligence center for the county to protect us during emergencies and during the daily upheavals in just people's lives, whether it be a home break-in or a dispute of some sort or a robbery. We have, I would say, world-class protection through that dispatching center and the services that respond to the emergencies that they report. So here again, I think Lake County is well protected and professionally protected by these great professionals. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Young. Okay, and with that, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes. And Captain Warner, while you're here, do you mind if we present this to you and get a photo possibly?
Oh, not at all.
Thank you, sir. Now, Ron, be sure to smile broadly.
Yeah, I'll be right down.
And you'll face out this way. Yes. Yes, we do. We are professionals here.
Boy, thank you, sir.
You know, it's coming out so bright. I'm sorry.
Okay, Madam Clerk, next resolution, please.
Mr. President?
Oh, sir.
Before we move on, I do want to just note that we're very grateful for the strong partnership that our Lake County Dispatch has with the Mentor Dispatch Center. We actually have our council
point.
president from Mentor here with us for unrelated reasons, but nonetheless, would you like to say a few words about the telecommunicators program and the dispatch partnership we have?
Oh, microphone, please. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, I think Mentor is the largest city in Lake County. The coordination and cooperation is very important and strategic. And the LEPC is an organization that I've been involved with too in the duties I represent today. And that whole group is the different fire chiefs and police and Lubrizol and others. This whole organization is impressive, and they work together. They meet out at the EMA facility, and it's an example of cooperation and teamwork and professionalism. So I echo the comments made. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Commissioner Plechnik. Madam Clerk?
In the engineer's office, resolution awarding a bid contract to Roniak Paving Incorporated for the chip seal resurfacing 2021 project as required by the Lake County engineer in the amount of $557,843.40.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Bruce, did you want to add anything to that, or is it pretty self-explanatory in your opinion?
Well, we're pleased that the bid came in $90,000 under the bid estimate. It was about 16%. So we're ready to move forward.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
In the Utilities Department, resolution authorizing execution of contracts for various water and wastewater chemicals for the Lake County Department of Utilities.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Randy, did you want to have Kathy Russo read that entire list of all those? The whole thing?
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate. This is just our annual chemical bid to get the competition and best prices for our chemicals for both our water and our wastewater treatment operations.
Very good. Thank you, sir. If there's no further discussion, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution certifying unpaid sewer and water sums and administrative charges to the Lake County Auditor.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution increasing appropriations and transferring cash within Lake County Department of Utilities Solid Waste Operating Fund and Project Fund 597.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Randy, do you want to give a little background on that?
Sure, this is this resolution will fund our next construction project out at the landfill. So it's transferring money into the project fund for our continued expansion.
Very good. Thank you, sir. If there's nothing further, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
In Job and Family Services Department, resolution approving Lake County Department of Job and Family Services vouchers, date of warrant April 9, 2021, in the amount of $136,271.38.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
In the Commissioner's Office, resolution setting the dates, times, and places for public hearings on the proposed amended flood hazard regulations for participation in the National Flood Insurance Program in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Section 307.37 and advertising for same.
Move to approve.
Second.
And discussion? County Administrator Jason Boyd.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. Bruce heads up, I may do a quick handoff to Mr. Landig. I've actually been working with Mr. Landig. He's done the vast majority of the work on this floodplain update or insurance update. Basically what you have in front of you is a process by which the county is required to follow to implement some of the minor changes in the regulations. We worked with Bruce, the engineer's office, and Jennifer put the schedule forward. And Bruce, if you had any of the specifics, I defer to you on your expertise.
Just to remind everyone that in Lake County, we've had lake floodplain regulations. Last revision was back in 2004 or 5, and the regulations state that the floodplain administrators are the county engineer and the chief building official, so they are co-administrators. FEMA sent letters to the commissioners and to our office back in November about new mapping, new revisions, and that required us to revise the floodplain regulations, update them to those revisions in order that Lake County and those in floodplain areas would still be eligible for National Flood Insurance Program. Of course, it falls under FEMA because of the disasters in flooding throughout the country, and these updates also involve a new flood zone designation, the V zone, which is along the lake. So they have modified the regulations to adapt for storm surge coming in off the lake that can cause flooding of structures near there, along with erosion control on the lake. Those are areas that people have hazards in addition beyond the norm when in their residences that are located close to the lake. So that is the major change in those regulations. And they have been reviewed by ODNR at the state level. The public hearings that will follow will allow public comment, and then upon approval, they go to FEMA prior to May 4th for their approval, and that maintains our eligibility in the flood program.
Excellent. Thank you both for that. Further discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing all actions necessary to accept Northeast Ohio Public Energy Council NOPEC Energized Community Grants.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Jason, did you want to chime in on that one as well, sir?
Yes, while I'm here. Just briefly, this is an annual grant afforded to the county, multiple political jurisdictions throughout Northeast Ohio by NOPEC. Basically, this resolution will allow me to upload it into their portal. And the grant for 2021 is a very user-friendly grant. So I think it's about $17,000 that we can use for various capital projects tied to energy efficiency via HVAC, high-efficiency windows, and so on. So this is just a step in NOPEC's process. After today, I will upload the data into their database and we'll be eligible to receive our funds. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
In the Finance Department, resolution approving payment of bills as listed on the Commissioner's Approval Journal in the amount of $2,281,955.94.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution approving purchase orders as listed on the Commissioner's Purchase Order Approval Journal in the amount of $4,114,873.09.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution increasing appropriations for various non-general fund accounts.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution transferring cash and appropriations within various general and non-general fund accounts.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes. Thank you. This brings us to our departmental reports portion of our meeting. Utilities, Randy?
Thank you, Commissioner. We're beginning to implement our 2021 capital improvement plan. We intend to design 12 new water and wastewater projects this year, so you'll be seeing some, we're evaluating the engineers and the designers and the consultants right now, and awarding those contracts through resolution, so you'll be seeing those over the next month or two. We also intend to bid up to 8 water line projects and 5 wastewater projects that were designed last year. And depending on how those prices come in, we talked a couple weeks ago that there's some fluctuation in the plastic industry right now as far as pricing. So we have our fingers crossed on where those will come in. We've been getting good prices up to recently. We have our next bid opening on Wednesday of next week, so that'll give us some valuable information on how we can move forward for the rest of this year. So.
And that price volatility, as you indicated at a previous meeting, was because of events in Texas, I believe?
It was, yeah. Initially it was that, and it also will reflect the fuel prices, and gasoline prices have been steadily increasing recently, so the combination of those two things can greatly affect how our projects, the cost of our projects.
Understood. Thank you, sir. Anything for Randy?
Mr. President,
Sir.
I'd just say thank you to our Department of Utilities. You put the lake in Lake County, quite literally. You pump it in.
I just feel like that's a low-hanging fastball. We also pump it right back out again. So.
But only after we clean it thoroughly.
Absolutely. All right, moving on before I get myself in any trouble here. County Administrator Jason Boyd. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioners. Good morning, Commissioner Young. Just a couple brief updates this morning. First off, on behalf of Rhea Benton and Planning and Community Development, just kind of an FYI that the first public hearing for CDBG and home funds for fiscal year 2021 will be next Wednesday, April the 14th at 1 o'clock. As you know, that's one of the statutory check the boxes that we're required to perform for our annual federal allocations. Secondly, it's been a few weeks since I've done an update on our first round of CARES Act that the Commissioners received mid last year on our small business grant loan program. To date, we've issued 139 grants to local businesses throughout Lake County and 13 loans to the business community. So that's been a very successful program. We're nearing the end of the kind of liquidity of those funds. Clearly, with the American Rescue Plan recently passed in D.C., the county will be receiving dollars. We are still waiting on guidance from Treasury and whether or not maybe the Commissioners want to allocate some additional resources to this program. The portal, the oversight seems to be working quite well. So when that guidance comes down from D.C., I will brief the Commissioners as we begin to look at the allocation of those subsequent federal dollars. Secondly, and I'll give Commissioner Hammercheck a heads up here, just talking about the vaccine yesterday at Lakeland. I know Commissioner Hammercheck spent a good deal of time, most of the day yesterday in that world. My folks say Lakeland once again worked well. It looked like on site, and Commissioners, this is where I'll lean on you, they distributed about 4,800 vaccines yesterday.
And the numbers are climbing. They're finalizing some numbers.
Correct. So once again, heck of a team effort. And I know both Commissioners were at last week's MentorPod. I got to thank the Commissioners for being out there on the forefront with the guys and gals who've been there every day for the past number of months. I know they really appreciate it hearing from some of our coworkers and colleagues in Lake County. Continuing on the vaccine world, you know, we'll have these pods at Lakeland. There's one scheduled next week. We really encourage folks to schedule on the ArmorVac system via the Health District's website. We have a number of openings still for next Wednesday's pod at Lakeland Community College. For those folks who don't know, they're looking at Wednesday first dose. 30 days later, plus or minus, the second dose will be held on a Friday, so you can kind of plan your calendars accordingly. Commissioner, if you'd like to add into the vaccine from yesterday?
Yes, thank you. I can actually give firsthand witness of the exceptional job that all those involved did. It was a true team effort, as you hear us often say. The cooperation, the collaboration, it's exceptional. I know that we have in Lake County as tight a possible policy of no waste. I can say with absolute certainty the last dose, I think, was administered somewhere around 10:30 at night. They truly make an exhaustive effort to make sure that every vaccine does what its intended purpose was, with little to no waste, and I don't believe to this day a single dose has been wasted.
Yeah. Thank
So
you.
thank you for letting me add that.
No, absolutely. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. President, before we let our county administrator escape, I would just like to ask, for the benefit of our residents, there have been several media reports. You and I have discussed this privately. There have been several media reports about a bomb threat at the Perry Nuclear Power Plant. Could you elaborate on what happened there?
I believe the sheriff's office will be issuing, if they have not issued a press release, at any moment. I know the situation has been resolved and there was no threat, but I would defer to the sheriff's office for any public comment on that. I will be researching as soon as I get back to my laptop if that press release has come out. I did speak with the sheriff this morning and they're a leading point on that. So thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner Young, anything for Jason Boyd, County Administrator?
All set.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Jason. Okay, moving on. Madam Clerk.
Yes, I wanted to mention the next commissioners meeting is going to be on Thursday, April 15th, here in Chambers at 10 a.m.
Thank you, ma'am. And legal.
No reports, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. Okay, this brings us to our old business portion of our meeting. Do we have any old business to come before this board? Okay, new business. Do we have any new business? I'll throw something in. It's a little mix of new and old. Jason, we're putting an application in conjunction with our sheriff, working closely with the County Commissioners Association for grant request and funding of that $50 million that we had alluded to or I had talked about earlier. Did you want to give a bit of an update on where we're at with that?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. You're referring to Senate Bill 310, I believe.
Yes, sir.
$50 million allocated. There are 7 or 8 counties that are, I'll call it direct entitlement, that will receive funds based on need, and then the balance of the dollars will be very competitive. We worked with the sheriff a year or two ago, the Buckeye Sheriff's Association, on demonstrating need. We submitted a bunch of our data that you've referenced in our studies and analyses to date. Senate Bill 310 does have an application process. Director Matus, myself, the sheriff, and his management team met probably 2 weeks ago to divide and conquer on that application. There are some things that are strictly in Mr. Matus's world. There are other operational, programmatic things that the sheriff, Captain Brooks, will handle. We have a deadline by the state of June 30th. We're going to have it completed much sooner than that. Matter of fact, I've already started to put the application together. Uphill challenge based on some of the metrics that we're hearing about. To your point, we are trying to reschedule our call. We were canceled maybe a week ago from some leadership in Columbus. Something came up to tell our story. Please do not penalize counties that have been good stewards not only of our dollars but of our facilities. Nothing against those communities who may not have the fiscal wherewithal that we have, but we still have a need. And I think we should have just as fair a shot as everyone else. So that's kind of our approach as we talk to our leadership folks in Columbus.
And the reason we're putting such an exhaustive effort into this is for that very reason. Please do not penalize Lake County for being fiscally responsible, for researching all funding silos available. One of the things that Columbus, and let's just be honest, the feds, they like to talk about capacity. Lake County has the capacity to put a levy on, which I don't think any of us have an appetite for. Again, to Mr. Massey's point earlier, We have capacity to restore the 1.1 inside mill. We have the capacity to raise sales tax. There are a number of things that Lake County could do that very likely would not necessarily be in the overall best interest if just done haphazardly. But that's being held against Lake County. Communities that have openly refused to support their facilities, that have chosen not to invest in their facilities, in their staffing, they seem to be the ones that are getting the preferential treatment. I believe I came right out and said earlier, rewarding bad behavior. And that's one of the reasons why we're going through this somewhat exhaustive effort. Not so much that we have a goal of achieving, receiving any of that 50 million, but there needs to be a state solution. And this should put Lake County right at the top. I believe about a year and a half ago, we did a similar exercise that should have defined for the state what those expectations are. But yet again, I believe this is another bite at the apple to remind our friends in Columbus that this problem hasn't gone away.
Correct. And I think it's important to note, and it always strikes me, even more so the past 14 months with COVID, of how tight we are, not only communities and friends and neighbors, but political jurisdictions and how well we work together. But we're the 10th or 11th biggest county in Ohio, population-wise. And the commissioners, the councils, we're managing that population with capacity. I would argue, and I have not looked at the data, that there are some counties of smaller size that may not have any capacity, but do not have the overhead and revised code requirements that we need to meet, and we continue to meet and exceed those with capacity on the table. And I think for a community, and I hope it's 238,000 when the census comes out. I don't know if it will be. I'm thinking 232, 233, but it's impressive what everyone does in this county with capacity at hand. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Let's see. Thought escaped me. Thank you, Jason. I would like to also add under new business, to Mr. Massey's point about taxes, House Bill 1 that was introduced earlier this year by our own Representative Jamie Callender, directly addressing the school funding in the state of Ohio. It has been deemed unconstitutional several times, and Representative Callender has taken the lead on trying to come to some equitable and candidly legal way of funding our schools. So that's a pretty tough nut to crack. And Jason, you have something, sir?
If you like, I do have the press release.
Thank you, sir. Yes, please.
From the sheriff. It's not terribly long, so without objection, I could just read that so folks have a better understanding. So this is a press release from Lake County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Leon Bruno, dated April 8th, 2021. Reference line: the incident at Perry Nuclear Power Plant. I'll begin the release. Lieutenant Larry Harpster, the head of the Lake County Sheriff's Office Detective Bureau, reports that on Wednesday, April 7th, 2021, at 5:43 p.m., the North Perry Police Department, assisted by the Perry Village Police Department, was dispatched to the Perry Nuclear Power Plant at 10 Center Road in North Perry Village regarding a suspicious male refusing to leave the property. Upon arrival, it was found that the male had driven a pickup truck pulling an enclosed trailer to the entrance of the facility. When confronted by plant security, the male claimed to have a bomb in the trailer. The Lake County Bomb Squad and the Painesville branch of the FBI were requested to respond. The Lake County Sheriff's Office Detective Bureau was then requested to assist the FBI on the investigation. Sorry, email popped up. The truck and trailer were subsequently found not to contain any dangerous ordnance after a detailed inspection by the Lake County Bomb Squad. The investigation led to the arrest of Michael D. Fogelsong, 33 years old, from Adrian, Michigan. Fogelsong has been booked in the Lake County Jail on the charges of making false alarms, a third-degree felony, and aggravated trespass, a first-degree misdemeanor. Additional charges may be forthcoming pending the investigation. The Lake County Sheriff's Office will be continuing this investigation. Key point: we want to ensure everyone that there is no ongoing threat or imminent threat to the Perry Nuclear Power Plant. This appears to be an isolated incident. Frank Leon Bruno. Thank you.
Well, special thanks to our sheriff, and Jason, thank you for gathering that up for presentation here.
Mr. President,
Commissioner,
I just want to echo that and say we're very grateful to Sheriff Leon Bruno and the local Perry Police Departments for working together with the FBI to resolve this immediately. Anytime we hear a bomb next to the Perry Nuclear Power Plant, it's a very concerning thing, and the immediate response and the ability to let the public know there is no imminent threat, it's a wonderful team effort, and it's good to see.
agreed. Commissioner Young, anything to add, sir?
No, I just echo those comments. Perry Nuclear Plant, safe, affordable, and I'm glad that we have set aside specific security and protections around that organization. So this incident has assured me that things are operating well up there on the lake.
Thank you, sir. Okay, moving on to public comment. Do we have anyone wishing to address the board? Mr. Massey.
The second issue that I had to deal with the mask mandate. We have been working with people throughout the state of Ohio trying to get the Governor DeWine to rescind this mask mandate. What we have done is we've contacted the Lake County Coroner's Office and tried to develop some statistics. We wanted to find out if the mask mandate is in any way, shape, or form impacting the people in the community as far as illegal drug use and or suicides. And we have put together statistics that we'd be glad to share with the commissioners, and we'll put it online. We'll post it online, but in calendar year 2020. There were 37 suicides, and 27% of those were in the city of Mentor. So far in 2021, we've had 13. So if we annualize that, if that keeps up at that pace, we're going to have about a 25% increase in the suicides, which is really quite disturbing. Can we attribute it directly to the mask mandate? That is difficult to say, but I have been told by professionals that the lack of social interaction by people certainly has an impact on their mental well-being. We also looked at as far as the illegal drug deaths, we analyzed it by age and by municipality for the years 2019 and 2020. In 2019, there were a total of 60. And in 2020 it was 78. So there's a disturbing trend of increasing on that. Again, can we attribute it to the mask mandate? Not absolutely sure, but it is a disturbing trend. We also found out that the 1851 Center for Constitutional Law just had a press release where they said an Ashland County court has ruled that the state mask mandates are unconstitutional. I'm here before the commissioners. I don't know if the commissioners at the county level can do anything that asks if the state can, if we as a county, can we have more control of what happens over our county? Now, as I understand, and Mr. Plechnik has done a great job of educating me on the role of county government is really an extension of the state, but I do know that the home rule may not apply to the county, although I was always led to believe that it was. There are the other municipalities. What we will be doing after this ruling by the Ashland Court, we'll go to each one of the municipalities. I have already spoken to Mr. Carl Dondorfer, who is my representative at the Concord, as a Concord trustee. he did say that several weeks ago that he is also the representative, our representative on the Lake County Health Board, and they did get together and try to figure out, is there any way that they, through home rule, that they have more control or more say-so at the local level, as opposed to saying that the governor has the absolute right to mandate that everybody wear these masks 24/7. So this is more, I guess I'm coming before the commissioners to find out, one, can the county do anything under a home rule that says that you can control or you can make exceptions to what the governor says, or does that really fall back on that I've got to go to the individual municipalities to get them to band together to see what they can do? But so we're concerned that the mask mandate is having a negative mental impact on our citizens, and we'd like to try to do something about it, if that makes sense, what I've just said.
Yes, sir. And if I could look to legal in case I say something that goes afoul of correctness here, there is a distinct difference between home rule and local control. Local control has been used in context of our health district. In the absence of any guidance or mandates from the state Department of Health, our health district has local control. They can fill in the blanks. They can make adjustments. They can deal with circumstances that are unique to their area of jurisdiction. So far as we've been able to determine, the mask mandate is pretty absolute. It's a direct mandate from the governor, from the Ohio Department of Health. Our local health district has little jurisdiction to be able to adjust that. However, I know firsthand that our health district is one of the health districts pushing data to Columbus frequently, accurately, spot on. It's very, very, very important.
Yes, I would say that Ron Graham, I'll just interject, that Ron Graham has, we have been working with him, and we're very, very pleased about his conduct and his concern for the community. So the issue is not with Ron Graham at all.
Very good. And then now switching to home rule, that talks about government, villages, townships, cities, county government in this case. We have certain statutory authorities that give us the ability to do things, but in the world of health, the health district, the Lake County General Health District, a separate political subdivision, not under the control of the county. I want to be, again, abundantly clear on that. Mm-hmm. They are the ones who have the authority. It is not the Board of Commissions. It's not even your local townships and villages, although they do have representation on the board and work with the health district. So there is some representation at that level. I would also want to point out that some of these laws, more correctly, that give the Ohio Department of Health and the local departments of health, of which I was surprised to find out there's actually well over 100 of them. 88 counties, I think there's 110 or 120 health districts. Go figure.
Okay.
Only in America, right?
Yeah.
I believe these laws go back to 1924. That's
a long time.
That's 96 years.
Right.
You know, it might be nice if the legislature would actually, and I'm trying to be cautious here, responsibly address that, rather than doing things that are pageantry, stunts, things that they know will never go anywhere. I'm just going to be blunt. I grow tired of it. I'm not even going to call them elected officials. I'm going to call them politicians. And if anybody wants to know why I say that there's a difference between a politician and an elected official, a politician serves themselves, elected officials serve the people. And there's a lot of politicians out there beating their chests, and I'm going to pontificate now, I'm so sorry, out there beating their chests, not doing the work of the people, and doggone it, we got a job to do. And some of these stunts are not in our best interest. And I appreciate the opportunity to comment on that. And the other thing, let's see, we got local control, home rule. I'm not familiar with this 1851. I think I've seen some postings about it, but I've not had a chance to.
It's a community activist group that they're legal professionals.
Thank you. Thank you. And then circling back to Dr. Komar, he has on various occasions had and continues to have strong communications with this board. Candidly, and at the risk of sounding insensitive, there is a percentage of a given population that dies each year. In talking with Dr. Komar, that percentage is the same. Now, given the all causes. Now, may those causes shift from one category to another? Apparently, the answer is yes. But I think Dr. Komar would probably be the best qualified to be commenting on that, and if there's going to be any theorizing as to what the sources of that shifting from one category to another. But the numbers, at least in Lake County's example, have stayed the same. Right?
I will reach out to Dr. Komar on that. I will do that. Thank you.
Thank you. And Commissioner Young, Commissioner Plechnik, anything to add, gentlemen?
Mr. President?
Sir.
Two things. First, I want to reinforce what President Hamercheck said about local control versus home rule. Home rule is an Ohio constitutional right given to municipalities, townships, cities, villages. It's not extended to counties because we are a creature of statute. We are extensions of state government. And so our power is limited to what we're given in the Ohio Revised Code, which is not nothing. That's the local control that President Hamercheck's talking about, but we don't have the right to say, in some cases, we can constitutionally override the state because this is a matter that is inherently local and the municipality decides even if the state passes a law to the contrary. So we're not in the place to push back against a clear state order, even if we disagree with it. Mm-hmm. Our only role is to implement those clear state directives. Second point that I wanted to make, though, as President Hamercheck said, where there is ambiguity or where the order doesn't directly apply, that does give local control authority to the health commissioner and the general health district of Lake County. And I am very impressed with how Health Commissioner Ron Graham has worked with local officials to try to fill that gap in a way that benefits our residents. I want to share, without naming any names, that on Good Friday, there was a resident, a patron with a disabled daughter who attempted to go to one of our public libraries in Lake County, and she was turned away. 4-year-old daughter, disability that made it unsafe for her to wear a mask, and she was informed that the library had set their own policy that 2 and up must wear a mask, no exceptions. Her daughter cried, had to go home, couldn't check out her books, and she started tweeting. And she tagged some elected officials, Senator Serino and myself. I don't think she knew that I used to be a library trustee, and so I knew the director, I knew the board, I called them, and they expressed to me, we're in a difficult position. The mask exemptions apply to retail. They don't specifically apply to public libraries. We have to set our own policy if there's a gap, and we don't want to. We don't want to be the bad guy saying yes or no, but on the one hand, we have patrons who want to come to the library and take advantage of those exemptions. On the other hand, we have employees and union grievances who say this is an unsafe setting. So we're not the best qualified people. We're not medical professionals, but without guidance, we have to make a call. So I immediately called Ron Graham, and I was grateful that within one day, the very next day, he issued guidance and emailed every library director in the county saying, we are going to extend the mask exemptions to public libraries. We're going to make it clear that children 10 and under, that those who are disabled or have a medical condition where wearing a mask is unsafe can still access our public libraries, and literally turn that around on a holiday weekend within one day and immediately notified all library directors. I mean, that kind of responsiveness is exactly the value of the local control that President Hamercheck's talking about. And I was so impressed that our health commissioner would give up his holiday to draft guidance and contact every library in the county. It doesn't answer the whole problem, but we're doing what we can. Yeah,
we have met with Ron Graham, and he has been extremely helpful, as with his people, in answering our question, so that it's important that the people in the community really understand how this whole county government, local government really works. And I do appreciate the opportunity to at least hear from you and get educated on it. So thank you very much, and I'll keep you posted as we move forward, because we're not going to drop the issue. Thank you.
Fair enough. Appreciate the cordial dialogue, and again, that Commissioner Plechnik offered an excellent example of once we are made aware of something, it gives us the opportunity to engage it. We may not be able to make a difference, and sometimes we can. But if we can't make a difference, at least we can sympathize and be better informed. And that in and of itself is important, because if we don't know what's going on, we can't be everywhere.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Young, did you want to add anything, sir?
Well, yeah, I would. Thank you. I would like to add something. Firstly, I'd like to echo your comments, Commissioner Plesnik's, and questions being asked by the public. There is one area we might be able to do a little bit more in, possibly. And we've already done some, and that's simply writing letters to the governor, to the Speaker of the House, President of the Senate, to our own representatives, outlining on a regular basis some of the types of problems we've encountered in reference to masks and other regulations that have been imposed during this COVID crisis. Just as Ron Graham has listened to comments from citizens directly and organizations, and I've worked with him on some issues also, and I agree, he's extraordinary. His reference to response time and thoughtfulness of those responses. But in the same way, state government will respond, especially to a county that expresses concerns, especially a county the size of and the professionalism that's been demonstrated by Lake County through this whole process. So I know we've written letters in the past, and we've certainly spoken to the folks down there in the past as well. But that may be an area where we could perhaps focus a little bit more of our energy, and maybe recommend some improvements, especially tailored for Lake County, and maybe even make some specific requests as far as what we'd like to see happen in Lake County as far as loosening up some of those regulations in reference to some of our more sort of homegrown issues. Thank you.
No, thank you. And I think this would be if I may take the liberty of Commissioner Young's experience as a House representative member. I'm going to look to legal on this. And I think it's no secret, I have routinely been opposed to ceremonial actions that have no effective law. I believe ceremonial activities that just have no effective law are meant to instill a false sense of security, a false sense of accomplishment. I think what we've talked about here pretty completely is we've been chipping away and having good luck with our local health district, but maybe we could get some guidance from our colleague, Commissioner Young. How can we approach members of the House and encourage something substantial, something real, something that's not ceremonial? Do you have some suggestions or guidance or how we could, it's one thing to send a letter or an email or even pick up the phone, but I'm not looking for, and I don't think our public wants ceremonial actions. I think they want to see things that are real, substantial, that make a difference in their live. Did you have any suggestions?
Yeah, I think, for instance, we can talk more, maybe more productively when we both get a chance to think about this a little bit and sort of ponder it. But, some things we could do, for instance, might be to invite them to a luncheon or a dinner with the commissioners, and express our concerns. Well-orchestrated meeting where our concerns are laid out on paper, part of an agenda that we would offer to them, if you will, at the dinner or the luncheon. Dinner is probably better. You wouldn't be quite as limited in time. Because what I'm envisioning probably would take some time and discussion. That'd be with our own delegation and anyone in surrounding counties who'd care to come as well. And then, of course, out of that, we could generate some letters to leadership in Columbus. Might want to bring some business leaders into the meeting, and perhaps some folks from the bureaucracy in as well. They probably wouldn't carry quite the weight as business leaders would in the eyes of the members of the General Assembly. But nonetheless, they're certainly extremely important. So there's things we can do. We would have to take some time and planning, and over time, I think we could have an impact.
Okay, so if we were to individually meet, obviously not as a group, this board, but individually and for informational fact-finding efforts, also working through our professional associations such as the County Commission Association. Jason Boyd, a ranking member of our Administrators Association, he's been actively involved in that for a very long time. I have to believe that that would have some impact. Is that a tool or a resource that would be wise to make more use of? Commissioner Young?
Absolutely, that'd be great.
Okay, no, thank you for your insights. It's just for the benefit of the public, these type of conversations have to take place in public meetings. So if it seems like this is a conversation we could have had in the hallway, considering there was a bit of back and forth, that probably would have violated the Open Meetings Act. So just want to be abundantly clear that, boy, I use that word abundantly clear to their words quite a bit today. Anything else, Commissioner Fletcher, you'd like to add?
Mr. President, I would just add that we have to wait and see what the state legislature decides to do with the new authority they voted to give themselves under SB 22, which creates a new committee that gives them ultimate oversight over executive orders. It also does limit what individual health districts, for example, the Lake County Health District, can do. So there's going to be, assuming that the bill goes into effect and isn't successfully challenged. Some have threatened constitutional challenges to SB 22, but assuming that none of those are successful, there will be significant new legislative oversight. So the outreach to the House and to the Senate becomes even more important because they really will be making the long-term decisions, not the governor, not the health commissioner. That may be good or bad from your perspective, but there will be another group of politicians in Columbus who will have that authority, and it specifically will be the House and the Senate.
Excellent point. Thank you. Okay. If there's nothing further under those subjects, and Jason, just to confirm, we have no additional public comments that come in electronic? Very good, indicating none. We do have a request for executive session. The purposes are personnel, collective bargaining, and real estate acquisition. There'll be no business conducted afterwards. Do we have a motion to adjourn for the stated purposes?
A motion to adjourn into executive session.
Yes.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes. Thank you for joining us today.